you guys. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Conscious Straight Talk with Katie and Lindsay.
Hi.
I'm so happy to see you guys today and that you're joining us.
Happy Monday. Oh, wait.
Happy Monday.
Do we like Monday? I don't really like Mondays.
I do. It's fun now that we can come talk to everybody.
That's true. Good point. Very good point.
So a large part of the reason that we started this show is to talk about personality, right? Because personality at the end of the day is a combination of our thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors that all come together to make us each unique. And so it's the way that we view each other and ourselves, right, that we can start to learn the understanding. And with this show, I wanted to start going over and covering as many different personality disorders as we can so you can gain a stronger understanding as you're going through life day to day.
Yes.
Make sense? So today we're actually going to be talking about Antisocial Personality Disorder, which is a pretty serious one.
It's a very serious one, and for the average person, they call them psychopaths or sociopaths. And they truly are. Psychopaths and sociopaths truly fall under the heading of antisocial personality disorder. However, people with antisocial personality disorder,
It's a mouthful.
it is, are not necessarily psychopaths or sociopaths. Lots of times they're the head of a corporation. They just they jump up that ladder, run up that ladder, and they just stomp everybody
With no regard
on the
for who
way
gets
up,
hurt.
and they don't
Yeah.
care who gets hurt.
And that's actually the biggest description of antisocial
Antisocial personality disorder.
And that's that they have no regard for right or wrong or who gets hurt.
No lack,
along
the
the way.
lack of empathy.
Yeah, complete. So, and these people are often, like she said, CEOs or master criminals. They lie and have very violent behavior. So some of the traits we want to go over.
Yes, and I want to tell you, I'm likening this to, I'm giving extreme examples, but I'm using a lot of examples from Ted Bundy, who I hope most of you know about. He's quite prolific. And Jeffrey Epstein, who's in the news right now. He did hang himself, so he's dead. But, yes, so I'm going to liken some of these traits to them.
Yeah.
So can you tell me what the traits
first
are?
the traits. They, just like I said before, a complete disregard for right and wrong.
Yeah.
They just don't, not paying taxes.
Oh, so an example would be like they don't pay their taxes. They get all these fines, and they don't care. They just keep not paying their taxes. Or they get a DUI. They get in all this trouble. Do they go to the DUI classes? No. Do they keep driving drunk? Yes. That would be a perfect example of that. And then, eventually it's going to catch up to them. Let's hope.
Persistent lying, right?
Persistent lying.
And pathological lying, I think, is more.
Yeah.
And they're just master manipulators.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Ted Bundy here. So Ted Bundy, he stated once that he was the meanest motherfucker that anybody would ever meet. Am I allowed to say that?
Yep.
Okay, good. And that's true about him. What he would do is he would stick his arm in a cast, and he would go up to women and say, "Oh, my arm's broken. Can you help me put my boat on top of my car?" Or he would come up with a badge and say, "I'm a police officer, and I noticed that somebody was looking in your car while you were in the mall. Will you come out with me?" Then he'd club him over the head and shove him in his VW bus.
Very callous, right? Very cynical. Using their charm and their wit to manipulate.
He's very handsome. And
Very
Jeffrey
arrogant.
Epstein was also
Has all these people with
handsome, if you
people.
want to call him that. I don't find him to be handsome, but some people did. Yes,
I
and
think
charming.
it's more charismatic.
He was very, very
They
charming.
have an amazing charisma. It doesn't really matter so much what they look like, but they were able to make you feel comfortable with them right away.
They make you feel special. That's
Special
what
within
it
a lie.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all a
with
lie,
that.
but they make you feel so special.
They're very impulsive, right? They're very hostile. They're quick to anger.
Well, impulsive would be, once again, like Ted Bundy, killing people, for one, and then looking in being a peeping Tom, looking in people's windows. That would be impulsive. Probably shouldn't have done that.
Probably, or
But
definitely
shouldn't have done that, and then that led to more impulsive and
right.
worse behaviors.
And unnecessary risk taking.
That would be
Usually-
against that would be, again, a good example would be the DUI. Or
and like poor and abusive relationships. And I thought their childhood was actually kind of interesting.
Well-
there was a common thread.
Okay, so we go in. I can go deeply into genetics and upbringing, but these two individuals actually did not have that bad of childhoods. Ted Bundy was told, I get this wrong every time, so Lindsay's going to have to tell me. His sister was actually his mother, but he was told that
he was raised by his grandparents.
Grandmother.
But he was raised to believe his grandparents were his mom and dad.
Yes, because his
his sister, he was raised to believe was his sister,
But it was
she
actually
in
his
fact
mother.
And I think he found out this in his
He
teens.
found this out later in life, and they believe that this caused him to have
like a snap.
A snap and this abhorrent feeling towards women. He also was illegitimate, so he probably didn't identify with men as much or missed that father figure. And his grandfather, it's written that his grandfather was abusive at times. However, they did love him. They did love him.
And I think both of... and this is a lot with the antisocial personality disorders, the bullying.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Both Jeffrey Epstein, because he was Jewish, and this was a time when he was at a school which was 90% Italians and only 10% Jews, he was very bullied. Ted Bundy, and they were both from middle-class families, so it's not like they were poor with, clothes that were hanging off of them and no showers. But Ted Bundy also came from a middle-class family, but he was made fun of. He had a speech impediment, and he wasn't good at sports. So he was made fun of by the kids. So both of them shared being bullied.
Yeah. And I think that has a massive effect. We should do a show just on that.
We're going to.
Because, and just a quick question with this.
Yes.
Do a lot of people that have antisocial personality disorder, do they have like a point in their life where something triggers and then they just kind of snap? Or can they just float through life completely disconnected?
It depends. It depends. If you're talking about the person that's the head of the corporation, lots of times they can just float through life and get away with everything because they're the CEO. They can get away with everything. Harvey Weinstein would be a perfect example. Yeah. Ted Bundy, he snapped when he found out that his sister was his mother.
He'd been lied to forever.
And he fell in love with this girl who was from a very high class, and he wanted to marry her, and then she dumped him. And that was in 1972. 1974 is when he first killed somebody. He first attacked a woman.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know. They haven't identified any breaks that he had. He just was like, what was the guy's name in The Great Gatsby?
I think it was more of a power thing for him.
Oh, it was a total power thing.
With the people that suffer from antisocial personality disorder, it is a power thing. Mm-hmm. I think they're feeling so probably bad and awful inside. They wrap it up.
Actually feel good.
And then
they actually feel good about themselves.
Do you think that?
They do. They feel good about themselves, but their compulsion is so strong. Think about like if you like chocolate, or you like to work out, or you like to have a glass of wine. Their compulsion, and think about it at night. You want that chocolate. I'm thinking to myself, I like chocolate. I want that chocolate so badly that all I'm thinking about is chocolate. And I'm not gonna be happy until I have my little bag of M&Ms. Okay? Well, for them, the compulsion is so strong. Like for Ted Bundy, that he had to go out and kill in order to have joy. That was the only way he could experience joy. For Jeffrey Epstein, sex trafficking, sleeping with minors.
Well, I think the power of feeling like these little girls were under his control.
And for Ted Bundy, he was controlling the person completely.
Now, there's one symptom that I'm not too sure about, and if you could explain it more to us, and that's this conduct disorder, which is part of antisocial personality disorder. It's a symptom that is a must-have, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to touch.
How many symptoms are they supposed to have before you're diagnosed?
You're supposed to only have 3 symptoms or traits in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. I don't agree with that. I think you need to have more because I believe that we all have some of these traits, like I've said before. We just don't have them to the extent, and most of us don't want to hurt people.
So what's conduct disorder?
So conduct disorder has to be diagnosed. It's not usually, but it really has to be diagnosed by the time the person is 15 years old. In order to have antisocial personality disorder. Conduct disorder, a great example of conduct disorder are people that hurt animals. Which is very disturbing because I'm obsessed with animals. So an example of this would be Ted Bundy. He had this group of mice, and he liked to...
Why would anyone want to even touch mice?
Well, let alone hurt anything. I can't hurt anything. And I'm scared of mice, and I still wouldn't want to hurt them. So anyways, he would kill one mouse in front of the other mice to see what would happen. He'd just randomly kill a third mouse, and then the sixth mouse, and then see how the other mice reacted. So he'd just randomly kill them and see how the other ones would react. It was evil. A very, very evil
So that's one of the symptoms of conduct disorder.
Yes, there are more. Destruction of property. So, like, Ted Bundy would go and steal, and that's because he wanted so badly to be wealthy, so he could buy nice clothes and things. He didn't care if he destroyed people's cars or stole from them. Didn't care. That'd be a perfect example. What else is there? Deceitfulness. Well, yeah, they're not going to tell the truth. Who would if you've got this personality disorder? So yeah, they're not telling their parents that they're going and stealing from people, you know.
Are they more quiet, like withdrawn?
No.
No.
I mean, actually, Jeffrey
social?
Epstein became more reclusive, but in the beginning he was very charismatic, and that's how he got like the owner of Victoria's Secret on his side, who was very socially inept, the owner of Victoria's Secret, and so Jeffrey Epstein was a perfect person to lure him in. Ted Bundy was extremely charismatic. Serious violation of rules. I mean, so an example, I'm not giving an example of the two of them. An example would be, and I've had this in my room, a teenager who has a curfew of 12 o'clock. They don't care. They don't care if they're grounded. They don't care. They just sneak out the window and they just keep staying out all night long. And they don't care that their parents are worried sick. That would be an example of that.
That's a good example.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we've got the symptoms down.
Yeah.
What are the causes? Where does this come from? How does this happen?
I believe it's nature and nurture. So it's genes and it's the way that you're brought up. Both of these individuals, Jeffrey Epstein and Ted Bundy, did not have horrible childhoods, like I said. There were some things that prompted them that wouldn't prompt other people to become serial killers or serial traffickers, sex traffickers. So in these two cases, and I shouldn't say that. I think in a lot of cases they're horribly abused, and then they develop this. They're abused sexually, physically, neglectful, mentally, every other thing. However, in these two cases, I believe that they were born this way. And people...
Genes.
Yeah, it's genes. People are born this way. And another example would be Jeffrey Dahmer. Didn't have a horrible childhood. He also abused animals. He was born this way. And the only way that they experience joy is to kill.
Or to hurt
Or
other
to
people,
hurt.
Right?
To hurt other people.
Feel that power.
That's the only way
control.
that they experience joy. And some of them will say, please put me behind bars because I'm going to go kill somebody else because it's the only thing that gives me joy.
Now, I know on this show we often talk about like, a lot of these things affect more women, and I just found it interesting that this one actually is known to affect men more. Is that
Much
correct?
more men. And it's,
Yeah.
what did they say? I want to say, was it 25% of the people, I'm not positive, I don't want to get this wrong, but 25% of Americans exhibit a little bit of antisocial personality disorder. Are they going to go kill people? No. Are they going to mutilate animals? No. But just some little traits that they might have.
Yeah. Well, okay, now that we know all this, what do we do? What can we do with these people if they're in our lives or if we feel...
Well,
I mean,
if
a
they're in
person
our
like that
lives-
isn't going to want to come and say, I need to be healed. I
No.
don't think they can...
No. If they're in our lives, run. Okay, just run. They don't come into the psychotherapy office until they're mandated. And even then, they don't want to be there. And usually they won't even admit that they have these faults. They're not even aware that they have these faults, actually. Ted Bundy kind of was aware because he's so smart. And so what we try to do is cognitive behavioral therapy with them. We try to change their thought patterns. You can't teach somebody empathy. I mean, it's pretty darn hard.
And I think that's the thing with these people. Like, I know I had one in my life for a while, and I could not just grasp the fact, like, okay, well, they don't feel what you're feeling. They're not capable of that. And I would get so frustrated and angry, and I just eventually had to come to the point of realizing, like, they're just not capable of feeling emotion. They want what they want, when they want it. They're impulsive. They'll make it happen, and they don't care who gets hurt. So I think it's more about protecting yourself.
It's protecting
at that point.
Yeah, for people that aren't the antisocial person,
Right.
you need to just run. Just get out of it. For the most part.
Sometimes you can't run, you know? It's a loved
Then
one.
you
So
got to go into
work on
therapy. So then you
protecting
try
yourself.
to at least change their thoughts or at least how they behave towards others. Can we do this? Sometimes. They are.
Well, but I think the biggest thing for me, I just want to jump in and say, was changing my mindset.
That's true.
Accepting that, hey, look, this person just can't, you know, be there with you. Isn't on the same level as you. You're
Boundaries.
just not like-minded.
And you have to put boundaries up, just like
But
with
they
boy or
can't
night.
respect them.
That's true. But
You
you
know?
got to try.
So,
Yeah.
but
And
for
then,
me, it was just shifting my mindset and accepting, hey, look, this isn't you. It's not your fault. This is
Right.
how this person is built and how they've chosen to react and behave and who they are.
right. That's very true. They are using some medication. It starts with a C. I can't remember what it is. We don't even know if it's that effective, but we
Yeah.
are trying some medications. Really, they just, need to be put behind bars if they're the types that are going to be hurting people. And they ask for that. They physically ask for that. Jeffrey Dahmer said, put me behind bars. I will kill somebody else. And one other thing I want to add really quickly, I study all these people. I don't know why. I find it to be interesting because I'm a therapist. Jeffrey Dahmer's father, he said, he admitted, he was a very quiet-spoken, very smart man. I think he was like an engineer or something. He said, I had the same thoughts as my son. Same exact thoughts. I just never acted on them. Yeah.
Which goes to show that you can make
Impulsivity.
that choice, right?
Well, his impulsivity and his compulsions he was able to control, whereas his son was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I hope we've taught you something about this disorder.
I know it was a lot this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway this time is, if you're dealing with people like that, you got to have a mindset shift.
Yes.
Right? You're stronger than that. And you've got to have a really strong inner foundation for yourself. So I think that's enough for today. And on Wednesday, I've just decided we're going to be talking about bullying on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
I think it's such a hot
That's
topic.
what we're talking about, Lindsey.
We got to do it.
It is a hot topic.
So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Make sure you go get signed up for the masterclass starting next week.
Yes.
And it's over on MalibuMamaLoves.com,
Yes,
right?
and you're going to push the like button.
Give us a like if you like this.
Yay. I feel like my kids' little YouTubers. Okay.
All right, we'll see you guys. Have an awesome day. Happy Monday.